Hey, welcome back to the channel, folks. There you are, the San Felipe sign. We're heading north on Mex 3, I believe. It's the road that takes you north out of San Felipe up towards Mexicali. Man, it's been, here we are, the end of February, about 3 months after the BAJA 2020 BAJA 1000 race trip that all this footage is filmed, and just about a month after my last installment. So here we are cruising through a military checkpoint before we take the cross trip over to Ensenada. And here's the turn. If we headed north, we would go right back up to Mexicali, the way from which we came. But here we are in convoy with the Kangaroo Racing team, a bunch of solid Toyotas, and once again, just a couple miles away from that last military police checkpoint is another one, taking you into the next zone, down the next freeway, whatever. And so we're just going to kind of haul ass across the desert. And right up ahead here, there was a trophy truck coming across the course that I saw him coming. And we kind of had to stop and get the hell out of his way because the course crosses over the highway right there. But a couple windy, twisty turns, super nice sunny day, mid to end of November, and we're just making our way, man. It's still a few days out from the start of the race, so we're making our way westward to the west coast over to Ensenada. It's kind of funny, right in this spot right here where I look left, just about where these signs are, not quite right there, but right about here where that white car is, some about 4 days later is where I would find myself sleeping and taking a nap right there, waiting for the race truck to come through, because that zone right there is part of the race course. So making our way across, climbing up into the mountains, gaining some elevation. The roads through this zone were pretty sketchy, dude. Pretty big potholes and this and that. You just kind of got to watch out. Big twisties and blind turns, and fortunately we all had good radio comms, and you can see my handheld Bofeng radio right there with the wires coming into my headset. I actually returned that motorcycle helmet comms system because it just shit the bed. It didn't work worth the shit, but I could barely make out what they were saying. We could kind of communicate so long as we were going slow and in town, so it really helped. But I got to step up my comms system game for ham radio, because that's what most all of the off-road truck dudes that I run with operate on, is ham radios. And yes, I do have my ham radio license, but it was cool. I kind of gained some familiarity with cruising through this highway here, because on my first race way back in 2017, the race course brought the trucks down through that wash, and so it was kind of neat to spot it from the daylight. But yeah, it was quite a few miles. I don't know how many miles. If I had to guess, some 130, maybe more miles to kind of cross from Mex 3 all the way over to Ensenada. So you climb up into the mountains, maybe 3,000 feet or something like that. Not too serious of elevation gain, but there's Rodney, man. We're having a freaking hoot. Some spots we were able to freaking pin it and just stretch the legs out on the GSs, and following Kurt in the sweet 200 Land Cruiser and the rest of the convoy. But man, I was pretty stoked that Rodney's GS, his 1200 GS Adventure, just like what the twin bike to mine here, I was glad that he was able to take this on this ride, and it was kind of maybe the last big hurrah before he sold that bike, and he's moved on now to a 790 KTM, and I'm right now, here at the end of February, he's actually on a trip down to Cabo. I'm super jealous. He didn't even freaking give me an invite. Not that I could have made it anyway, but still. So I felt pretty fortunate that he was able to accompany me on this trip and that we were riding twin GSs. It was pretty cool. But get up here into the high flatlands and then some more winding hills before we start to descend down to the coast. And here you start to see some more signs of civilization. And the roads get a little tighter and start losing elevation, but man, it was so fun. And having spent 3 days, I guess, and over at the San Felipe side without having ventured too far from town, and we'd never ventured more than about 60 to 80 miles, I would say, from town. It was really nice to finally branch out and cruise across the peninsula, and it was just a really nice day. So yeah, you start getting down towards the green belt again a little bit, and like I said, it's the end of November when this race goes on, and you can see nice weather down through there. So I'm sorry that it's taken me so long to get to editing this, but man, I put together the other channel that focuses just on Toyota off-road and Land Cruisers and repair and maintenance and overlanding and camping and whatnot, and so just trying to knock out the rest of this trip. Got a few more videos that I got to crank out on this one, but man, as we roll into springtime here, I'm itching to do some riding, so editing this video is actually serving me quite well. But here we are into town now, into Ensenada. It's really cool. You got the palm trees. We're down at sea level once again. Freaking hectic, busy streets. And one thing I'll warn you, if you've never traveled to Mexico, see that little stop sign on that light pole over there? It says Alto. Is those things creep up on you. A lot of times they're not even red. They're just black. And so I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but it's pretty commonplace that you end up accidentally cruising past a stop sign and or driving the wrong way down a one-way road. So it gets kind of hectic in town there, but later on, maybe tomorrow's video, you'll see where Rodney and I had to go into town to try to find some stuff. But right here where these big white structures are, that is the world famous Ensenada wash. So right there to my right, over my right shoulder, down through that wash is where all the trophy trucks, that's where the start and the finish of the race generally is. So unfortunately, because of COVID, not this year. But here we are rolling into the square, just about to pull into our hotel right there. Hotel Cortez is a phenomenal hotel, nice swimming pool, protected garage, and it's right practically on the strip, man. You walk out the front door and you got all your restaurants and everything else. So we've successfully made it. It wasn't too long. We're getting there pretty early in the day and get all the trucks tucked away and the bikes, and man, get checked into the hotel, and it was freaking sweet. And so we ended up, Rodney and I and the rest of the crew, we ended up having 2.5, 3.5 maybe days to ourselves to really kind of explore and take in Ensenada. So I'm pretty psyched to get that video, the next video posted. But here we are pulling into the hotel and getting settled in, and it was freaking phenomenal. Thanks for checking it out. Stay tuned. I'll try to crank out the rest of these for the rest of this trip in short order, but we'll see what the next video brings. So peace out. We'll see you on the next one. Beautiful.